On blast.
And we are live. This is a Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander, and this episode of Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the east end of Toronto. Clean Cuts, the multicultural barbers that will always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. As a wise man once said, tell them that I sent you. Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto or give them a call 416-917-4833 to book your appointments now. And booking appointments, I feel like the Sixers probably had this on their calendar as an appointment to get some revenge against the Toronto Raptors, as this was the first meeting since the 4-bounce game, the Kawhi game.
The shot.
And I'm going to be honest, fellas. As I thought this game was starting, I didn't even care what happened. You know why? Because seeing Joel Embiid again at the ACC just reminded me of the shot, and it didn't even matter what happened in this game. And then the Raptors come out and win this game without Kyle, without Serge, with Joel Embiid, with Ben Simmons. Raptors win 101-96. Big win for the Toronto Raptors. As mentioned, my name is Sheldon Alexander, and I'm joined by, I got the full crew here.
Yes.
Mike and Q. Q, what is going on, my dude? How you feeling after this win?
Man. It's just
Speechless.
It's validation, man.
Okay.
It's validation. It's not no more. Oh, it took Kawhi and a miracle shot to beat Philly. It's just a good effort all around.
Yeah. Mikey, what are you saying? How you feeling, man?
Good, man. Glad to be back. It's been a while. It was
You picked a good game to come back for.
Man, it was a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Drake, you had Meek Mills there.
Hold on. Even
had-
Meek Mill laughing at the missed free throws?
At the Josh Richardson free throws. Yeah, he can't. I mean, the fourth quarter was entertaining. The whole
was
game
great.
was, but I mean, that fourth quarter,
Yeah.
down by 6.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an 8-0 or a 10-0 run, but I mean, kudos to the Raptors,
Yeah.
right?
Raptors with a massive performance. And again, thank everyone for tuning in to this Wrap It Up podcast, which, as you know by now, you can find live on Twitter after every Toronto Raptors game at Shell Alexander. We take your comments and questions there because this is about you people. This is extending the group text conversation and bringing it mainstream. I see all the comments already filtering in. Don't worry. We will get to all of those on Twitter, again, at Shell Alexander, and on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And as always, if you ever miss the pod or you're busy, you want to go to sleep early, we got you covered for your morning commute. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, which a lot of people were asking for, Google Play, and on YouTube. Just go find On Blast Podcast. That's the network. Wrap It Up is the show, and this is what we do. We break down beautiful wins like this. I'll be honest, games like this is why we wanted to do this podcast.
It feels like the second round of last year.
It did. There was
really
there's
does.
a little extra juice in the building. People were feeling themselves, and just having a place to talk ball after the game ends, because this is a big time game. You look at the schedule, you say, okay, this is a rematch of the playoff round. You know about the 4-bounce, you know all that, but also, especially without Kyle and Serge, this is a measuring stick game. I call these a big boy games. And the Raps to step up and win this game against the Sixers, this is their team. That says a lot. I'm thoroughly impressed by the Raptors' performance in this game. I'm not going to ask you if you were expecting a win, but are you surprised by maybe just how the game went? Because the Sixers played, they did not look good especially down the stretch.
They shot the 3 well. I mean, for most part, it seemed like the Raptors had their number.
Yeah.
And then they had the 76ers shot well in the third.
Yeah.
And then in the fourth. But it's the perfect storm of the comeback game, the shot, but the power rankings came out. Just a couple days ago, or if not today.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know, our Toronto Raptors were not in the top 10.
Yeah.
Philadelphia was.
So the Raptors were 11 and the Sixers were 10.
So, I mean, for the tail to go the other way, that, you know what I mean? It just was a perfect bow on top of it.
This is a perfect thing for Raps fans because for me,
and we all know.
No, but for me, I'm like, do we have a banner We have a
Yeah.
championship. Are we here really caring about power rankings?
But
Do
we
you know
do.
what I mean? I don't. I looked
Yeah.
at that and I laughed. I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, you don't keep all the pressure off.
They
us,
didn't give us
right?
respect even when we had Kawhi. You thought they were going to give us respect without Kawhi.
That's a good
Right?
point.
And it doesn't
That's a
it
good
doesn't
point.
matter. And like I seen a tweet earlier today. This is the only validation we need. This is the only power ranking that matters.
Shell, you're right, but I mean that's bulletin board material.
that's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
I mean, okay.
I'll give you that.
Okay, this is
I'll
what
give
the
you that.
league says. We're playing one of those teams that they say are better than us. Bring our A game.
I'll give you that. I like that. I like that.
And we always do,
We
especially
already
at
beat
home.
the number one team on that rankings with both of their superstars on the court.
LeBron and
Right?
AD.
But I mean, it just
It's true.
made it feel like
But this
on
is,
top of the.
I think there's another level to it. To back up your point, I think there's
Yeah.
another level to it, just because this is a divisional game. This is the
course.
first of 3 matchups.
It just
you know,
added
or
to it,
first
though.
of 4. Sorry, this is going to be a storyline going forward. The measuring stick is the Sixers. You
Yep.
went through them for them to get to where they want to get to, or for the Raps to defend. Either way, you got to get back through each other.
Yep.
Right.
And to make that initial statement and the way that you did it, to me, it's cool because, as mentioned, both these teams, even though they're in the same positioning in terms of battling in the playoff seedings right now, they're different teams. Obviously, we know Kawhi and Danny are gone for the Raps, and then you look at Philly and Jimmy Butler out, JJ Redick out, in Josh Richardson and Al Horford joining Simmons, Embiid, and Tobias Harris. Josh Richardson in this game, is he probably the only reason why this game was close for the Sixers? I mean, Josh Richardson.
Besides the 3 missed free throws where the ball don't lie, yeah, he played well. I think he had like 24, 26 points.
He finished with 25 points, 9 of 19 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3 was Josh
He hit
Richardson
some
in this
wild
game.
threes.
It was stupid. But how do you look at the Sixers now, Q? I'll start with you. Just in terms of the different look that they present without Jimmy Butler, but with Al Horford and Josh Richardson.
Al Horford is a good leader.
Yeah.
But he's not Jimmy Butler, who's going to get in your ass if you're not playing.
Yeah.
And the whole second quarter, obviously we know Embiid did nothing.
Yeah.
But even Ben Simmons just disappeared.
Yeah.
He wasn't a factor. He made a couple nice passes. Like he had 14 assists in the game, but he was a non-factor.
He's not a difference maker
Right?
down the stretch.
And back to your question about am I surprised? I'm done being surprised with this team.
The Sixers or the Raps.
With the Raptors.
Oh,
I'm done
like
being
it. I
I'm
like
done
that.
being
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
Right?
I like
if you remember the playoffs last year, right? They even showed the stat. Fred VanVleet averaged 2 points a game, couldn't do nothing.
Against the
Right? Couldn't do
76ers.
nothing
against the
against
Sixers.
the
Yeah,
76ers.
2 points a game.
Norm
against the
couldn't do
Sixers.
nothing against the 76ers.
Yeah.
What did they combine tonight with 34, 35 points? The two of them?
Fred had like 20.
Fred VanVleet finished with 24 points in this game on 9 of 15 shooting. That's a
Had like
solid
17,
clip.
Yep.
11.
Norm had 10 points in this game. And with Norm, the thing was, he started off horribly. I want to
Yeah,
say he was
he
like
missed-
1 of
yeah.
7.
Yeah.
Missing layups.
He missed like 3 layups right at the basket.
Like I said, he goes up with the intention of throwing it down.
Yeah.
He realizes that either Embiid's in the lane or he has to clutch. He can't now dunk it,
Yeah.
and then tries to go up soft.
But then
if you play basketball and you're going up hard, you can't just then contort your body to float it in,
He
right?
redeemed himself though too.
Right,
I mean,
but
Fred
exactly.
did that
But-
pass
but-
down by 6,
hit
hit that
big
3.
threes, yeah.
Right,
like
but back to
awkward
my
off-
point,
awkward
like
shot.
they outscored Embiid and Ben Simmons today.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just
Everyone
it's just the
outscored
growth. It's just
True.
towel girl
I
got-
outscored.
The towel girl got a point for wiping up Drake's the drinks Drake spilled. So
Right,
he got
but
one point there.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's just constant growth with this team.
Yeah.
I'm done being surprised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm done wondering what if or what could be. I'm just
enjoying the
I'm
wave.
just here exactly. I'm just here for the ride. wherever it ends,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Even if they don't make the playoffs, what they did in June, I'm okay for 5 years.
And watching this right now, it's incredible.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride right now. How much fun did you have? You were, hold on, I'm gonna give us a little behind the scenes to the people watching right now.
Before.
You were up on your feet.
I was
You're woofing up in the air.
when they were down 6, just previous to the play I was talking about with Fred. Like I mean, they looked sluggish. It looked like they didn't have anything going on offense. And for the question about Philly, it seems that, I mean, Toronto has their number obviously with Gasol and Embiid, and then Simmons just gets smothered by OG. But they got their depth guys always come through in Toronto. The Ennis, the Mike Scotts, right? I mean, I guess Josh Richardson is the start. He's not, but you know what I mean. They kind of bail them out. But the Raptors did a good job defensively, and was it a 10-0 run? Like, what did they end the game on?
It was something like that. It was an 8-0 run at one point.
In a playoff atmosphere type game, to close out a game like that, and that was impressive.
Yeah, what the Raps did down the stretch was impressive.
Excited.
But at the same time, do you know what? The Philadelphia 76ers, it's kind of pathetic too. And the funny part, sorry, I'm scrolling on Twitter right now and I see a shot of Drake just like trolling Embiid as he's trying to check into the game because he had 0 points.
Yeah.
And this is my thing with Joel Embiid. He had as many points as all of us combined sitting on these couches right now.
Yeah.
That's pathetic.
And a couple travels, some offensive.
You're supposed to be an MVP level player. Yeah. You can't have 0 points in a game and you play 32 minutes.
And people on Twitter and Instagram tell me too, didn't you see the same sluggish posture that Embiid had when he was sick in the playoffs? It looked carbon copy.
I call it the Gasol flu.
Yeah, it looked, no, but seriously, his posture was sluggish.
No, it's actually a thing.
Yeah, Vucevic had it a couple games ago. Right? The Gasol flu, it happens.
Yeah, I mean,
he just looked out of it.
Yeah, like I see one comment here on Instagram.
Yeah,
said that Gasol, Embiid's gonna need a sports psychologist after this game.
Ooh. God, man.
Yo, Embiid finished this game 0 for 11.
That's brutal.
0 for 11. Your starting center, supposed to be MVP candidate, 0 for 11.
How many fouls did he have?
5 fouls. He finished in the game with.
3 of those were offensive, I think.
He had 13 rebounds, which cool. Okay, you're supposed to do that. You're 7 feet.
You're the only
7
big
feet.
guy there besides Horford.
He went 0 for everywhere.
But it's not even, to me, the thing with Embiid, okay? You go 0 for 11. First off, how do you only shoot 11 times? And you're supposed to be the number one option on this team. That doesn't make sense.
5 of them were probably threes.
Not fourth. He didn't want to
Exactly my point. The other shots that he was taking, how many times was I sitting here yelling, how's this guy shooting fadeaway twos? Like, how is that your offense? Who is your coach? What is your coach telling you that it is acceptable for Embiid to be taking fadeaway long twos? I never rep Joel Embiid because here's the thing. It's fine when you're woofing it up in blowouts. It's fine when you're, doing the airplane and blowing out teams
Which
and
he was
players.
Getting heckled, by the way, but
and players that are obviously a level lower than you. But in games where it's like, yo, this is a big boy game, you need to come out, and especially after the playoff series that you had last year, walking off the court in tears.
Yeah,
tears, and then you come out the next game and go 0 for 11. Come on, bro. Get out of here.
And even if you do, like the Kyle Lowry game against Game 1 in Orlando, do other stuff. It seemed like he wasn't really setting proper picks for Ben. It seemed like he was traveling. He was a mess.
Well, we were talking about down the stretch, and a massive play for the Raps was Pascal coming down the court, spinning off his guy into Embiid, and one over Embiid. And what did you say, Q, at that moment when Embiid stands there like this, trying to take?
He went for the charge.
Yeah,
you're 7 foot whatever. You're supposed to beat that shot.
Yes,
right. Yeah. Right, like when you compared him to Adonal Foyle, he's like an Adonal Foyle, right? Put it in the context. Yeah. I'll put it into context. You were saying that if Embiid was playing back when centers were centers, playing against Shaq and Ewing and Elijah Wan and those guys, that Embiid would get fooded, and he would
tumble.
Right, he would be Adonal Foyle. He would be constant, begin posterized, and. Right, I said no. You're not a Donald Foyle because a Donald Foyle would at least try to beat that shot. He wouldn't have went in there like he's Kyle Lowry, like a point guard, trying to draw a charge.
Yeah,
right. Like he just wasn't in the game at all today.
And I'm gonna say something, and I feel like I say this every single podcast, but I feel like I have to emphasize it in this game. There are people here going at Marc Gasol, and Gasol finished with 3 points, 9 rebounds, 1 of 8 shooting, 1 of 6 from 3. if you don't understand that Marc Gasol could go 1 for 25
and shut down the other team's
and as long as he shuts down Embiid, the best player, that's why you have him.
The Raptors
here.
had help defense on him, but that was
not only that, but he also outscored Embiid, and you can't have that.
You
can't have that.
Also true,
right?
Gasol's what? Gasol's the Raptors what?
You can't be a big
third option, fourth option.
You can't be a big man,
sixth option.
Fifth.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But you can't be a big man who's an actual option on your team and only shoot 3 free throws in the game.
And Marc Gasol with the Raptors team high 9 assists.
He said he had a nice one to Terrence Davis.
9 assists.
He said it.
Oh, he had finding. Remember the
cross,
the pivot.
He gave someone a cross.
Yeah, he gave Embiid a cross.
I mean, we Raptor fans, we have to know that that's what we should expect from Gasol, just on the defensive side. Anything we get offensively, now 9 assists, highest is a bonus, but like points wise, we don't need that now when we have guys coming off the bench getting 17.
And I don't
15.
even like that he's shooting. Most of his shots are threes. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I say that all the time. I don't like that at all. 1 of 6 from 3 for Gasol. I don't even like that. But at the end of the day, his job is to shut down Embiid, neutralize Embiid, and he did that and more. Yeah. Did that and more. So beautiful performance there. Another good performance from Pascal Siakam, who had 25 points in this game, 9 of 19 from the floor. And the thing to me with Pascal, I felt like early on, if you go back to last series, right? Yep. Their game plan last series against the Sixers.
Last season series, yeah.
Yeah. So in the playoffs, their game plan was we're going to let Embiid guard Pascal and just let him shoot. And clearly they didn't watch tape from the season or the game plan because they were content with just letting Pascal shoot. Again. And he missed some shots early. He did.
But they didn't even run Embiid at him. It was Simmons. It
was Simmons guarding.
Right? So
and he was still getting the business.
What's Brett Brown? Like, that actually worked. Like, to me, when you have something that worked for you,
but Pascal's been in the lab.
Obviously he's in the lab. No, I'm not saying. Obviously, he's a better player. But you have to prove that to me first, right? You got to prove to me that when you have Embiid in front of you, that you can do something.
I'm not even mad at them for how they tried to guard him. I just think that they weren't ready in terms of like they still got cooked.
Just to counter that comment, which is weird, I swear I saw Brent Brown comment and paraphrase it here, but something where he feels Siakam is dangerous and is looking like a younger Giannis. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I miss those quotes.
Yeah,
I didn't
I'll
see
try
those
to get
quotes.
something, but something compared into Giannis. So if he does say that pregame and then goes easy on him on the matchups, it just doesn't really make sense.
I just think Brett Brown is not a good coach.
Yeah, pretty much.
But,
there you go.
I mean, again, letting Embiid just shoot from wherever. Ben Simmons down the stretch. I don't know what Ben Simmons was doing, but there's some terrible turnovers. Yeah. You can't be trying to tie. You're down 2 late, and you try to throw an alley-oop.
A low alley-oop.
Like, what are you doing?
Throwing it to us?
Like, what do you? It's just weird. Yeah. But anyways, to the Raps, because got to give credit to the Raps. I know the Sixers were terrible down the stretch, but I don't want to fall into the trap of what the U.S. media is going to do, which is they're going to just crush the Sixers for being not that good, which I agree with. They're not that good. And that's a terrible loss. But I want to give credit where credit is due, and that is to the Toronto Raptors, who continue to get big-time performances from their bench. We mentioned Siakam. We mentioned Van Fleet. We even mentioned Norm hitting big shots down the stretch. But yet again, who was it? Hustle man that came off the bench and given the Raptors that work early. 16 and 10 off the bench for Rondé Hollis-Jefferson.
RHJ.
And the defense.
I'll start with you though, Mikey. With Rondé and what he's provided with this team off the bench, like, how key has that been? And do you think he should still be in the rotation for sure when Serge comes back? Definitely he's got to still get minutes, no?
Oh, for sure get minutes. Yeah, and I said to you earlier that, like, in some weird blessing in the skies that the Kyle and Serge injuries barred it was huge.
Yeah.
But it gave Terrence Davis and RHJ like the minutes
for sure
to prove what they have, right?
Yeah.
To prove what they do. Like, I don't know if they have that confidence in those minutes if those injuries don't happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's starting lineup. I mean, that's something Nick Nurse is going to have to decide, because are you going to go with just a Serge at center or Mark and right? Who's going to come out? But I like them coming off the bench like that. If you could have
energy, man.
Terrence Davis and Hollis Jefferson coming off the bench.
I just like how Rondé comes off the bench and it's instant energy. Yeah.
Instant.
He's hitting the glass. Yeah. He's grabbing rebounds.
And he's only 24. He's playing energy, like a veteran.
It's energy all over the floor. So even if he doesn't get the ball, he finds it.
Yeah. Yes.
He goes up between him and Boucher. There's not a rebound that's safe.
Hollis Jefferson is a typical player with the hustle that Toronto loves, right? Fan favorite.
But he's a little more skilled than some of the other guys that they.
He's not like Junkyard
Dog.
But,
exactly. No, I know what you're saying, though.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally get what you're saying. And the one thing with that is hustle travels, right? Yep. That's not a skill. That's not something like, oh, you had an off night. No. Every time this guy checks into the game, he's guarding up someone full court. He's guarding Ben Simmons tonight.
He's guarding the best player.
Yep.
We have somebody who's going to come off the bench, and it doesn't matter if it's LeBron, Kawhi, RJ's on them.
Yeah. And I just like the way that he gets busy early. Like at halftime, my guy checked in, and he already, at halftime, he had 11 and 7. Quick. Yeah. Early. And again, just for comparison here, you're talking about off the bench. That's what you're getting from Rondé, Hollis, Jefferson, and Embiid went 0 for 11.
Yep.
That's amazing to me.
And the Sixers Davis are a messed up team. Terrence Davis played very well.
And you know what? And the extra minutes, you're starting to see something from Rondé that you probably weren't expecting, right? Sometimes it is a little wild. It's a little out of control.
Yeah.
But it just shows confidence.
For sure.
Right? And I think when you have a player that is probably not going to be your 1, 2, 3, maybe not even your fourth option when he's on the court.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to give him a little leeway to go and get his, and he does it.
Reward the hustle. I like it though. Yeah.
I think I know Kyle and Serge and Mark have the attention of the room, but I think since the Kyle and Serge injury in a weird, I think Hollis Jefferson kind of has the respect of the players playing right now too, right? And you can see he's playing with a little bit more swagger.
Yeah. Hollis Jefferson, though, I love the way that, and you mentioned what you're kind of surprised at with his game. For me, I didn't realize he was that good around the basket. Like, for an undersized guy and in the paint where he's amongst the towers, he's really good at finishing around the rim and using the rim as a shield to get the layups, whether he has to reverse it or not.
So it's kind of...
It is a little awkward.
You're defending the offhand most of the time, right? So he makes it work for him.
He definitely makes it work. Another great game for Rondé off the bench. And if Boucher has a down night, it's okay because your other bench guy, Terrence Davis, comes through with 11 points, 5 of 8 from the floor. And I was bringing this up during the game, but my thing with Terrence Davis that I love is that, and this is going to sound so weird, and I hesitate even saying it, but the way that he plays, when you talk about star players, the reason why they're stars is because they do everything at their pace. You can't speed them up or slow them down. They're in total control of what's going on. Yep. And I see that from Terrence Davis. Like, especially for a young kid, he never looks out of control. He never looks like he's like, to use a comparison to Norm. You know how Norm sometimes it's like good energy, bad energy, but it's all energy and he's like all over the place. Terrence Davis is always calm and cool. And even when he's getting the ball to shoot that 3 and someone's coming at him, he's not worried. Still in rhythm. Yep. He's driving to the basket. He'll slow down. Hezzy. It's all at his own pace. I am amazed at how good Terrence Davis is, and I like his game a lot.
Yep, and it's
and sorry, what you were saying about Boucher is I don't think Boucher can have a bad game. Because it's just energy, right?
I know what you're saying.
It's just energy. Like I said, there's not a rebound that's safe. There's not a shot that can't be blocked. There's not a loose ball he's not diving for. He picked up some key fouls down the stretch.
Yeah. And even if he doesn't do anything, he might alter someone's shot because of his length.
Exactly, right? And and he runs up and on the court like it's just energy.
Yeah. What Terrence Davis though too is
he makes you hard to play against.
And with the Raptors, you got to give credit for the Raptors and the league has already. But it's reminding me of I don't know the minutes he's getting per game yet. I would say maybe 11.
Who?
Terrence Davis. I don't know what he's averaging, but he'll stay around that 11 to 14 maybe. And then next year is going to be the jump again. So we had Pascal, the jump. Fred, the jump. This year's OG with the jump. Is next year going to be TD with the jump, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, The Raptors.
You can't give Masai Executive of the Year every year, can you?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like every year we have this guy that's going to make the jump, and they just keep doing it. So I mean, it's great to be a Raptors fan right now.
It's crazy. It's incredible. Let's get some comments though, because there's so many people filtering in, and really appreciate it. You guys that are here live with us on Twitter at Shell Alexander. And I'll start on Twitter where Craig checks in and says the 76ers were bad because the Raptors made them bad.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? I think that's a very good point. And if you look at the shooting numbers after last game that the Raptors played against the Hawks, which was the first team to shoot 50% against the Raptors this season, you come back to this game and the Sixers are right at 40%. So Raptors defense back to normal, doing what the defense does.
Yeah.
And that's a good sign if you're Nick Nurse, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Philly kind of got hot in the third, hitting those threes. They were 15 of 37. I don't know what they finished with, but points in the paint, man. They had like 24 points in the paint. Like,
yeah.
Right? Like, so essentially it was just a hot shooting night for them, and they still lost.
Another comment here from Craig says, Brett Brown coached like Embiid played. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I had to say that one. Shout to you, Craig. I am Rich B checks in on Twitter and says, Embiid overweight, overhyped, and overrated. Just saying. I got to say that I kind of agree with that. Embiid, like, you can't have you had your season end in the worst possible way ever.
Come back and go 0-4.
Yeah, and it's not even just this game, because last week with Webby on the Ball on Blast podcast, when we were talking about this game, Webby was worried, just like most Sixers fans are, because they don't like how the Sixers have started this season at all. Yeah. You're supposed to have championship aspirations, and the thing that I always pointed to was Jimmy Butler could have stayed with you guys for more money, and he left.
Yeah, you picked Tobias over him.
No. Well,
you could have had both, but
the thing is, though, Jimmy Butler left.
Yeah,
that told me everything I needed to know about Simmons and Embiid.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you think that those dudes are the dudes, you're riding with
them. We had this
no?
conversation last year, and it wasn't even the playoffs, and we said, too, are those the two guys you're riding with, right? I don't remember what we said, but I believe it was along the lines of, that's pretty much what we saw tonight.
We basically compared Embiid and Simmons to Wiggins and
Towns. That's a very good comparison.
Interesting.
And after this game, I don't even think they're on that level.
Here's a good question for you. Jay Herrera 21 on Twitter checks in and says, show me one of the quote top 10 teams that's locked down LeBron, Kawhi, Lillard, and Embiid.
Wow.
Think about it. LeBron had 13 points. Kawhi
11.
went. I'm doing this off the top.
Kawhi was like 11.
Kawhi went 2 for 11, if I'm not mistaken.
Like that, yeah.
Lillard was like
9 points, I want to say, or something like that. Like very, very low, and then Embiid 0. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a good.
It is crazy. I am Rich B. I missed this comment first from him, but says he flew 3,500 miles from the UK to Toronto with both my sons. And spent that game made every penny spent worth it.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. That's a great time.
Sure. That was
Shout out to you guys, man. That's real. That's dedication there.
That was a really good game to go to.
Showing the We the North Nation just spreading, right? And hey, how do you even find out about the Wrap It Up podcast? We international. I like that.
Yep. And hey, don't forget about Vucevic. Someone chimed in here. Talking about guys we locked down, all-stars that we've locked down.
True.
Add Vucevic.
I mean, I wouldn't put them on the level of Kawhi, Lillard.
No, obviously not, but that's still.
I mean, in their own little
the thing with Vucevic was he was coming into that game as a reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and then went like 0 for 11 as well. Yeah. It's crazy. This Raptors team, man. I want to ask you guys your opinions on this. Do you believe in this? Logan checks in and says the basketball gods are real on those free throws. So just a reminder to the people watching, a phantom call against Josh Richardson.
On Terrence Davis. Yeah.
Ends up going to the line to shoot 3 free throws. It's a bad call. They show it on the big screen, so the whole building sees it's a phantom call. And the crowd is fired up. Yeah. The crowd is chanting. Too, yeah. And Richardson is a good shooter.
He already had, 24 points at that time? The highest.
And my guy goes to the line and bricks all 3 free throws. Now, when the first one missed, I was like, okay, ball don't lie. And then the next 2, I'm like, whoa.
Ball definitely don't lie.
The crowd got you shook ones. And even, you mentioned it, Drake laughing. Meek Mill laughing. Like that was the Raptors crowd is real, and I love when there's juice in that building because it's a reminder of how real the fan base can be.
I think that was what made it the playoff atmosphere.
Of that, yeah.
Shout out to the crowd tonight.
I wanted to see more airplane sellies, though. I won't lie. I wanted to see a little bit more. Though.
I just think they didn't show it on this.
No,
that's true.
Because every time Embiid missed a free throw, there was Tom in the fourth row was doing the airplane. But you know what? You're right. Ball doesn't lie. The basketball gods. But I think it's just a fragile mindset of the Philadelphia 76ers without Jimmy Butler.
The thing that I keep paying attention to so much now as well, as I see this comment here on Instagram from Diaz that says, Philly is all talent, no work. Yep. Which, I mean...
kind of like the Leafs right now.
it's an interesting thing, and I was going to say that's kind of harsh, but really,
it's true.
Ben Simmons still comes back every year not being able to shoot.
Yep.
Right? Where we literally have watched Siakam get a three-point shot, which he didn't have 2 years ago. So what excuses Ben Simmons have? So that's an interesting point. But it makes me think about the fact that what game was it we were talking? Oh, it was the Orlando game, right? And we were talking about how they had all these first-round picks. Yeah. And in comparison to the Raptors, and this is another great example, because Joel Embiid is, third overall pick? Yep. Ben Simmons is a number 1 overall pick. And you look at the Raptors team, as we know, the storyline, first team ever to win a championship without lottery pick. And now you look at their team now, and isn't the highest pick Rondae Hollis-Jefferson? Stanley Johnson. Sorry, forgot about him.
But again, hold on. Davis.
How could I
forget about Stanley Johnson?
How could I forget about Stanley Johnson? Right. But you look at this Raptors team, and going back to this comment, Philly all talent, no work. The Raps are the complete opposite of that, and that's what makes this team so fun to cheer for. Because you look at these guys, and they just. I hate saying it because in this town it means you're JYD or you're talking about like Babcock's third liners, but they're grinders.
They are.
They work so hard. They're. This is a game they probably shouldn't have won, but they stole it from Philly.
But I mean, like just think about this, right? We won the championship, right? How many Instagram photos, other than the parade, did you see of Siakam in a club getting drunk with a champagne bottle?
No, he was at
right.
Rico,
at the gym.
You see them with Rico Hines at the gym, right? Do you see Fred? Do you see Norm on the beach in Barbados?
Saw a couple.
There's a couple, but it was calm. Like they didn't go Ovechkin over the summer. You know what I mean?
They didn't go. You know who's a great example of that? Jordan. Who's a dude from Golden State? Remember Jordan Bell? Jordan Bell had the 1 year where he was a heavy contributor on the team. They won. He tried to go J.R. Smith, shirt off in the parade, all that. And then my guy was out of the rotation the next year and couldn't even play. Couldn't even get minutes. And it's like, that just shows the difference of how, to me, one, the structure of your organization, but also the youth coming up together. Because how much easier is it for Fred to go work with Pascal, to go work with Norm?
So contagious, man. Just the work ethic, the hustle. Just they're all in the same mindset, right?
Yeah,
and it's a perfect. That's exactly how you want your team to be, especially if you're winning games.
Oh, for sure.
That's a mindset they should stay. They should keep. Right, I don't. You know what?
And when Kyle and Serge come back, they have those mindsets too.
I honestly
going to disrupt it. Right?
But this is the thing: is I honestly never want ESPN to put us anywhere in the top 5. Right? Because these guys, everybody on this team has strived being the underdog, being overlooked all through their lives. Right? We don't need. We'll get more rings that way. They ever put us? I think if they were ever to say Toronto Raptors number 2. Things might fall apart at that point. Let them keep being overlooked and keep being the underdog.
And let the hype go to the first overall picks like Ben Simmons, who's getting all the slander in this Instagram chat field right now. Ben Simmons finished with 10 points and 14 assists, 7 turnovers.
7 turnovers.
But someone checks in, Haraj, I hope I pronounced that right. Or sorry, Harjap, my bad, Harjap, checks in and says, Simmons shot from half court, even though there were like 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
I have no idea I really have no idea what Ben Simmons was doing.
I think he thought there was only a second or 2 left.
Hold on,
but point guard
can't. When you run back to get the ball, you can look at the other the clock up there. Then when you turn and catch it, there's another clock right there.
You know, it's a good another thing.
No awareness.
The theme that we're talking about, 76ers are like the Houston Astros without the hardware. Right? Houston was the same. Trash for 10 years, got all those first picks.
But it doesn't make.
But they won.
It doesn't make any sense. You know why? Because Ben Simmons is your point guard, right? So obviously
who can't shoot a three?
But forget the shooting the threes. He's 6'10".
Yeah.
He is this. If he was on the Raptors, he'd be the second tallest player.
That's crazy,
right? You didn't. Did you see him try and post up anybody?
No. Diaz is telling me that Fire Brett Brown is trending on Twitter right now.
Really? And they're what, 11-6 or what's?
But this is the kind of game that could get you fired. No, like let's think about it. You can't. If you're the Sixers, you know this is a game you had circled on your calendar since last year. The Raps don't have two of their top 6 rotation guys.
Yeah.
And you lose.
Bench guys, yeah.
And you lose.
So I know this is a Raptors podcast, but okay, let's just say that happens. Who would be a replaceable candidate? Like who is even out there?
I think that there's a difference a coach can make for that team, but I still think that they're flawed just how they're built. Simmons and Embiid, I don't know if those two guys together work as like your two.
And we thought Horford would
pieces.
maybe fix that a bit, but
Horford, you got to remember that Horford is he's a respected vet. He's not necessarily going to be your leader, right?
Yeah.
He didn't all of a sudden look at the turmoil that was in Boston last year with Kyrie, right? So he's a guy that you put in your offense, you put on your team, you put in your roster, and he's a good example for everybody else. But he's not Jimmy, who's going to be like, yo, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
Yo, why'd you hit the man so hard for, man?
Yeah.
That's kind of hard.
I was trying to get into my Jimmy Butler.
He was fired up. Yeah, he was fired up right now.
My leg.
You know what I mean? So he's a good guy to have. Right? So he's a good guy to have, but he's not a guy who's going to go in there and just change.
Quiet.
He's not
he
Kawhi.
leads by
He's not,
example,
right?
Yeah.
But he's not the guy that's going to then change your mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like Kawhi can do it because Kawhi's going to go out and be your best player.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas Horford at this point in his career is a very good, but he's a role player who's going to be a good locker room guy. But he's not necessarily going to be your leader to check somebody if they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
And rile up the team that way.
So I'm reading this tweet right now from Joe Walfond, who Twitter tells me is a writer for The Score. And he says that Masai dapped up every Raptor in the tunnel and said, quote, fuck him each and every time.
Sounds like that's
Masai.
Sounds like Masai.
I mean, I'm trying to see if anyone else is saying the same thing, but that's from, again, Joe Walfond on Twitter.
It was a playoff atmosphere for game. What are we at?
Game
15? 16.
And
right?
you know, for Masai's hype too.
Of course.
Right? Because this whole season is all about, you know,
Kawhi-less.
Yeah, Raptors. And it's like, oh, can you guys do it again?
Or
was it a fluke?
Yeah.
Or what more did you have? Was it solely just Kawhi? Don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm the number one Kawhi booster. I'm on the train that why isn't there a statue already outside the ACC of the Kawhi pose? All of that. But at the same time, what this team is doing right now is showing that, above all, it's organizational depth.
Yeah.
And that's what led to the championship.
Huge too for free agents to come to in the future.
Well, because there's a bunch of teams that could have added Kawhi, and that doesn't mean that that's guaranteeing you a chip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Raps already had that core and stability there to then, now when you get a Kawhi, it's winning time, right? Q, were you going to say? I thought you were going to say something right there.
No,
it's okay.
You just agree.
You're taking it all in. You're taking it all in.
Again, it's early in the season, right? But what we're seeing here, because we are, and I don't want to keep using it as a crutch, but even in our losses, we were right in those games, right? Against Boston, against Milwaukee. So, yeah, Kawhi would have put us over the top of Jump Street, but we're not out of it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the times, obviously Kawhi would, and this is going to be a crazy thing I say, but some of the players would defer a little bit more. Now, like I said, just like the Kyle injury and the Serge injury, you get more minutes, you get more experience, and sometimes that helps, right? Helps build your team better.
So I'm going to go to my guy, Joseph Casaro, who's also from The Score. He checks in on Twitter and has this quote from Joel Embiid, who again went 0 for 11 in this game, scoreless for the first time in his career. And Joel Embiid said, quote, I didn't think I would ever be here talking about 0 points in an NBA game, but it is what it is. That's all you got? That's it? That's all you got,
Was
Embiid?
he crying?
He also said that he thought the Raps' defensive scheme against him looked different than it did in the playoffs. Said Gasol and doubles / extra body seemed even more aggressive than last time. Then later praised the Raps' length. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Q's looking at me crazy. Defense. I'm just reading the quote. Don't get mad at me. I'm not.
I hear you. I hear you.
Q was looking at me like, "What double team?" I know that's
exactly what it is. What double team?
I knew what this guy's. Yo,
right? I don't remember any double teams.
Yo, I'm glad I'm sitting over here, right? So he can't hit me.
Yeah, exactly, man.
There is no double team. Gasol went man to man with you and shut you down.
Yeah, that's true. I can't even.
The only time you hear to see the double team is when
he went in the paint.
When you got switched off Gasol, and you then had Siakam or someone on you, and Gasol came. They said, no, that's my guy. And you were shook. So there was no defensive. There was no. It was man on man, and you lost. You got your ass beat. That's it.
And an update about Gasol. We saw him hobbling around. My guy Josh Lewenberg on Twitter says, Gasol said he tweaked his knee on that Simmons play late in the fourth. He said he was in quite a bit of pain when he shot and missed those free throws. He also said, quote, I shot them like crap. But he was able to shake it off and wanted to finish the game. So maybe, as you were saying, the load management for Gasol time is coming.
Should be coming.
Maybe, who knows? But as we wrap up this pod, because there's so many great comments, and I wish I could get to them all. But I saw this comment that I think I am going to push this one as a name, because there's so much talk about the bench mob and bench mob 2.0, which I don't want to call it bench mob 2.0 because I think that was a thing. Yeah. Bench mob was the thing.
Freddie already said
we had it.
The bench mob.
Cool. I don't even think they're the bench mob, so I don't think it's fair to give them that name. But I don't know if this is, but Azmi checks in on Instagram and says, can we rename the quote bench mob 2.0 to the Hustle Gang?
I like it.
Ooh.
I like it.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I like it.
Thoughts? I like it.
I mean,
I like
that's
it.
what they're known for. So
I like it.
It can't be the bench mobs. It's got to be something else. Right?
I like the Hustle Gang. I like that. I approve.
Hustle Squad.
Okay. We'll let people filter in. Let us know what they think. There's so many comments in here. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in because this has been so much fun. And especially when the Raps get a big win like that in what I like to call the big boy games. It's such an important time, and it's such a reminder of just the organizational depth that this Toronto Raptors team has and the movement that is being built here. And when I say movement, I mean the fact that the last time I checked out of this podcast on Saturday night against the Atlanta Hawks, there's over 1,400 people in the chat on Twitter for an Atlanta Hawks game on a Saturday night. So I'm just like the movement that's being built here. Both chat rooms are filled. Really appreciate you guys. And the thing too that people are doing now, which I really appreciate, is if people come into the Twitter chat or the Instagram chat, they'll like it, which means you share it. And that just automatically puts it on your timeline with a like or a retweet, just giving us a cosign, because we're here for you guys, man. This conversation, I started this pod because I was tired of the fact that Raptor games would end and then there's nothing to go to
right after
it where you can just vent, whether good or bad, or be as hype as Q is right now, where Q's hitting his co-hosts during the game.
Liking these comments, yo,
during the pod. What's going on, Q? Read some comments. You got comments that you want to say?
Followers are the best, man. I think Hustle Gang is cool till T.I. hits you with a lawsuit.
T.I. would be the guy to try to sue.
And right? I don't know, man. I've said this before. I never, like you said, this is what we be doing anyway.
Yeah.
I never thought. I'm just looking at the variety of people we have.
Yeah.
Different ages, different. I mean, everybody's in here, and it's just
say their age on there.
No, I'm seeing pictures, and I'm just. Wow.
I hear you. I hear you. I think this is really fun. So much fun. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, my name is Sheldon Alexander. You guys are tuning in to this pod live on Twitter at Shell Alexander. Another feed up on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. But fellas, Mikey, where can the people hit you up if they want to hear from you in between games, in between appearances on this Wrap It Up podcast?
Yes. Always on Instagram, Mike_Bello_6. Hit me up, guys.
You know, it's funny too. The last time Foots was on, I remember we finished, I shut it off, and then he had like a bunch of just followers like popped up, and
Oh,
he's
yeah?
like, "Whoa!" Because I read a bunch of names at the end of the pod, and so as soon as it ended, he's like, "Oh, this person's following me now."
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's awesome. Yeah, come on.
That's what happens, man.
Yep, I talk
That's
to
what
some of the
happens.
viewers always.
Someone's accusing you of leaving the Instagram people for your Twitter followers.
What?
For your Twitter groupies.
Oh wow! Listen,
Instagram
Insta
versus Twitter.
Listen, as I always say,
the
main feed is on Twitter,
yeah.
right?
You
So
can
you
see
can
us,
see
too.
Mike, you can see Q, you see the full set. That's the main feed. Instagram, I got mad love for you. Y'all are here adding to the conversation, and I try to share equally. I try to share the time equally. I really do.
Shout out to Diaz. Diaz says that Horford's head, he needs to visit the clean cuts.
Hit him up, Skip. Hit him
Skip's in the chat too.
Tell him that we sent you.
I see Skip in the chat too. But Q, where can the people hit you up, man?
You know, I'm here. Be here for all the big games. I'll be here for all the big games. I'm here for all the games. Hit me up at simply_just_Q. Or, of course, on all social media at DDS Caps. And again, thank you guys for being here and cracking me up with all these comments in the chat room. Appreciate it.
I know I see a lot of let Nick Nurse cook. I see Nick Nurse for Coach of the Year.
Skip says send Embiid down. He's got him. Horford.
We don't need him.
Come on, Embiid needs one too.
Gasol is Embiid's father. Just want to remind y'all. Oh, someone's asking you on Twitter, Q. They're saying, Q, can you shout out your Twitter?
My Twitter, same thing. Simply_just_Q.
Yeah, Mike's
on
here.
Twitter
Mike just checked in and said, Q, shout out your Twitter, man. So, yeah, really appreciate this. You guys are interactive, and we love it. Thanks for being a part of the podcast after each and every Raptors game. Again, on on Twitter, at Shell Alexander. We are live, full stream on Twitter, at Shell Alexander. Taking comments and questions as well on Instagram, at Sheldon Alexander. And then the full podcast, just search On Blast Podcast. Whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, YouTube, like and subscribe there. Spread the love, because this is the only and the real Raptors post-game show. We've been doing this for 2 years now. We're on the second year, and the Raptors wave just continues to grow. And this team is fun to watch.
Exactly.
It's a great time. This team is fun to watch. Yep. And this game is just another example of what this team is capable of, because, again, they come up with a big boy win, 101-96, to improve to 12-4 on the season, remain undefeated, 7-0 at home, and the Raps do it again. The big story to me is they held Joel Embiid to 0 for 11, scoreless for the first time in his career, and the Raps just, 7-0, matching their franchise record they set last year. But hey,
it's impressive.
Very impressive. And I said I was still, regardless of what happened in tonight's game, I'm still going to go to sleep dreaming of the 4-bounce shot. And Embiid crying going off the court again. But Embiid might not want to come back to Toronto.
Is this the dagger? Oh!
But again, my name is Sheldon Alexander. Thank you guys for tuning in, because I really used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.
On blast.